Saturday night. And okay, so we have to I'm going to try to do this on Instagram Live, and then this will get uploaded onto my channel because I really don't have time to do any sort of editing today, and I'm tired, and I'm not trying to have a million. I just don't want to spend all the time in my office. I'm enjoying some time off. So I wanted to talk about Janelle Evans and David Eason because I'm getting a lot of messages about that. And then I also want to give you an update about what's going on with Teen Mom OG and Teen Mom 2 as it relates to casting. So first, I just want to get the casting stuff right out of the bat. So there is... earlier this week that Taylor Selfridge was let go for some comments that she had previously made on Twitter. And we also know that they let go Dee from the challenge. And then they let go a girl from Teen Mom, Young and Pregnant in the UK. Since all of this has come out, there's been stuff that's come up about multiple people from the show. So fans on Twitter and on Instagram have been able to uncover some comments made by Kaylin Lowry, both on Twitter, and there now is supposedly some audio and video that was captured of her when she was in an altercation with her ex-boyfriend Chris. There was a 2017 Snapchat that was unearthed about Tyler Baltera. There were tweets from Taylor McKinney that were extremely offensive, not only racially, but also towards the LGBTQ+. They've also found comments from Cheyenne. There's been comments found by Gary Shirley. So basically, the cast has to go through what's called a social media background check. So I spoke to someone on the cast, and they told me this is what's up. They were told by the staff at MTV that they will have to go through a social media background check, and they have to basically hand over everything to their social media to this third-party company, and they're going to sift through all of their social media, all of their online handlings, all of everything that's going on with their online stuff, even stuff that's deleted. So if you know Kaylin Lowry, earlier this week, she privated her Twitter. Apparently, even if they private it or if they deactivate it, the social media basically is going to be reviewed by this third party, and then decisions are going to be made. With that being said, a lot of you guys were wondering whether or not Teen Mom OG would come back after a very terrible season in terms of ratings. I spoke to a cast member who said that cast before all of this happened had signed new contracts. So at least some of the people that had their contracts up were renewing contracts before all of this happened. But once they said, once all this stuff came up with their social media behavior and people uncovering statements that they've made, they don't really know what's going to happen with the show at this point. There's been no discussion from producers. There's been no discussion from production. Even though they had signed contracts, they have to go through this entire background check. Now, the people that I spoke to said that if some cast members are super upset about it, they don't want to do this, they're not happy, and others who say they have nothing to hide aren't worried about it, and it says it doesn't matter, check my background, check my social media. So with that being said, I don't know what that means. There could be many cast members that this could affect. I don't know if they're planning on getting rid of people, because really the thing is they got rid of Taylor for something that they had brought up on their shows, and they've known who has been in their cast for years. You can't tell me that over the last 10 years they haven't noticed the behavior, because it's been in the headlines. Tyler has been caught using words. Leah's daughter has been caught using words. Gary Shirley's been caught using words. There's just no way they don't know at this point. So in the climate that they're in right now, though, can they still continue with a show like this? I don't know. So at this point, I don't know that anyone has specifically been fired. I do think that the stuff that's on Kale could ultimately be really bad for her. Somebody that I spoke to that has connections to that supposed audio and video said that MTV is trying to find and locate that audio and video, with their assumption being that they might try to let Kale go. Again, this is not confirmed, so I don't want to say anything, but I think it would be fair to say is that if there is this audio and video of Kale dropping this word as recently as this fall, I would assume that MTV would have to let her go, especially in this climate. There was just no way. So, and that could have been, and that's just my opinion, it could be why she deleted her Twitter. Like, she might have just been freaking out. Like, seriously. Because on her Twitter from 2017 or 2016, she and her friend, Kristen, were using the N-word while they were talking about dinner, and she posted it on her Twitter and she was laughing, you know? So I don't think, based on like stuff that people were putting up on Twitter a couple days ago, do I think it would be outside of the realm of possibility that she's using this word? I don't, because she's used it in the past. So that's the thing. Like, I just think that MTV is going to find themselves in what worked on TV 10 years ago isn't what's going to be tolerated now. And we have to start thinking about whether or not it's really appropriate to be promoting this type of volatile, dramatic, illegal behavior. They've known what these girls are since the beginning they started, and they've really enabled them to not, many of them to not, they've stunted them to the point where they've not gotten education. They've never had to worry about money. They don't have to worry about really anything, because MTV, as long as they show up for filming, which is 2 to 3 times a month, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on how much they want to film. They're really not working that much. And then, you know, they get paid a lot of money, and then they're rewarded if they create drama. And so the more drama they have in their lives, the better their ratings are. So they're not encouraged to behave. They're not encouraged to be good people. They're not encouraged to not have drama. Why do you think Macy's constantly talking about Ryan? It's not because Macy is that bored with her life. She just knows that's where the drama is. Whether or not there's actually drama there, which I'm told now this season that Ryan has not been using. So yeah, they're rewarded for having more babies. They're rewarded for having divorces. They're rewarded for getting married. They're rewarded for getting arrested. Think about that. Amber was rewarded for getting arrested. She didn't lose her job. There's no other employer in America where you could have this many felonies and not have your employer arrested, have your employer fire you. Seriously, think about that. Like, if you were an NFL player, if you were a NBA player, if you had that many arrests for DV, no team would allow you on their team anymore. You know, if you were a musician with that many, people would stop listening to your music. I mean, look at what happened to Chris Brown. Who cares about Chris Brown anymore? Because everyone knows what he did to Rihanna. So you have to just think about it in that context. Like, she's been rewarded for being like this and has never had to get better and doesn't care to get better and doesn't care to handle it. And, you know, she's on a network now where they don't even care that she doesn't have her kids. I mean, she's on a show about Teen Mom, and she doesn't even have custody of her children. And a part of me feels bad for these women and men that are involved in it, but the other part of it is they're all adults. They can all move on. None of them had to stay in this place. So yeah, exactly. Everyone has forgotten about Chris Brown because he's irrelevant because of what he did to Rihanna. I think Chelsea has been trying to probably distance herself from a lot of these. From my understanding, I don't believe that Chelsea is really friends with any of the girls on the show. I don't know that she really has relationships with them beyond when they see each other at like reunions. I think she kind of does her own thing, and I think maybe that's purposeful. But, you know, to each their own. But with that being said, like, this show, I don't know what's going to happen. Okay. So that's what I have about the show. And I said, you know, we'll have to just wait to see. There's people still like saying that there's this audio and video coming out about Kale, and if it comes out, it's going to end her career. And they're still promoting her podcast, and, you know, that could potentially have negative ramifications for the podcast. Obviously, you know, I'm of the belief if it exists, put it out. Like, just put it out. If it doesn't exist, then just don't put it out. You know, it's not real. So I don't have an opinion either way. So they are required to semi-support each other. But I honest to God, don't think a lot of them are as close as they make it seem. And they're tied together by their employer more than anything. So anyways, with that being said, we are going to talk about, so that's the T on Teen Mom OG, and literally nobody cares about that show anymore. Sad, good, maybe, I don't, anyways. So Janelle Evans and David Eason. Yes, I saw the news. Apparently David was arrested. It was, Janelle sold the story to Celeb Nation or something, and apparently she and some friends went to her house to pick up some of her things, and David got into a fight with one of her friends about his keys, which he thought her friend had. Turns out David actually had the keys. During that, he took out one of those things that he really likes to brag that he owns, and he whipped them across the face with it, causing them to have marks on their face and their neck and be injured. So he was actually arrested for felony assault, and he was released on an unsecured bond yesterday. So he was in and out of jail. North Carolina has some really weird laws where people can go bond out on unsecured bonds, so they don't have to spend any time in jail. It's crazy. So she claims on her social media that she is done with David and that she is going to need to have some time to think. Apparently, they were rocky leading up to all of this. And if you have been paying attention at all to his social media, he has been really, I don't even know what's going on with David. Like, you know that he's conservative, but he's been posting a lot of like conspiracy stuff and really just out there stuff. And so part of me just wonders, like, is he unwell? Like, he might be all of these crappy things that we think he is, but is he mentally unwell because of the belief systems and the things that he's putting out there? Like, if you go onto his Facebook and read some of the stuff that he's posting, I just can't think that somebody that has a clear head would actually think and believe some of these things. So yeah, very, very, very paranoid. An unsecured bond means that you can just bond out. You don't have to have anything secured to a bond company, no bails bond, like anything. Just go to his Facebook page. He's got a ton of them listed. Yes, so I don't know if he has some sort of mental illness that he's not treating, but I've done a lot of coverage of people that fall into these conspiracy theories, and I've learned a lot over the years, and a lot of them do end up ultimately having some issues with their mental health that they're not properly treating, and it's causing them to think irrationally. So I don't know if that's what's going on, but either way, he got physical with one of Janelle's friends. He was arrested and charged with a felony. And then she said that she's leaving him. Their relationship is over. She said that her and her kids are safe. She was not okay with the court allowing him to get out on an unsecured bond. She had tried to get a restraining order against him again. If you remember, she filed a restraining order against him in the fall and withdrew it and got back together with him and then claimed that he wasn't like this. And now here we are only a few months later, and we're back in the exact same position where he's doing this again, and now she wants to get a restraining order. So she is going to have to go to the court on Monday to get that for her and her kids, and she is apparently staying with family, and David is back on the land. He has not posted anything on his Instagram. He posted a photo of her in a bikini, and then he deleted it. So she says she's going to take a few days off of social media and try to sort through this. Now, it's a very bad cycle. And so here's the thing, you guys, like, I don't want, like, as much as I can't stand Janelle when it comes to her lying and her inability to tell the truth and really the way that she puts her children into these really bad situations, I also understand the cycle of DV. And so I understand why it's so hard for her to leave. And I also understand the codependence that goes along with DV. And so she's in a really bad cycle. I think according to the national hotline, it takes the average woman like 6 or 7 times successfully before she finally is able to leave. So you have to like consider that what she's going through, millions of women in the United States and men are going through this right now. And unfortunately, it's frustrating when they're in the cycle to watch them do what they're doing. And you want to punch, not punch, but you want to just like, oh, why are you doing that? You want to get frustrated. So, the best thing that, you can do is try to just remind her, like, if you're a fan, that, don't go back. Don't go back. You deserve better than that. You deserve better for your kids. You are stronger than that. I do think that part of Janelle's problem is she has low self-esteem. I think Janelle probably has, I don't even know. I think she's got, she has a hard time being alone, and she's grown up with a lot of trauma around her, and she grew up in chaos, and so she's used to being around chaos. So, as hard as you want to like scream and yell at her and be like, you're so dumb, I could have told you that this was going to happen, which we all knew it was coming. But the worst thing that you can really say at this point in time is, I told you so. All you can do, even if you hate her, is offer her support and say, hey, Janelle, I'm sorry. You deserve better. You are worth more than what you think you are. As hard as it is, you will get through this. We can all leave if we, your kids deserve better. You deserve better. But she has to get there on her own, and that part, just the back and forth, it's frustrating for everyone. It is scary. I don't know what he could do to her. He is not a good, So apparently the friend was treated at the hospital, had some stuff on his, like some scratches on his face and some stuff on his neck. And, that part of it is he'll be okay. Yeah. David is someone I could see snapping and causing a tragedy. Yeah. So I'm not going to update about the Gardner stuff because we are, this is strictly sticking to Teen Mom because I'm going to upload this to my channel on YouTube. So no discussion about any other topics right now, just because I want it to be only one topic so that when people click on it on YouTube, they know, okay, I'm going to click on what's happening with Teen Mom OG and what's going on with Janelle Evans and David. So as much as you want to be frustrated with Janelle and call her a drama queen and say, you're going to be back with him next week, as hard as it is to bite your tongue, just try to. It's even hard for me because I also have been in a situation like hers where it's really, I knew how it was hard to leave. I had to leave. I think I broke up with him 5 times before I was finally done with him. It took a long time to leave. So, and every one of my friends was probably like how America feels. Don't go back. It's hard. It's an addiction in a way. So he didn't hurt her. He did it to her friend, but he was arrested. All right. So I'm going to upload this now so you can rewatch it so I don't have to answer the same questions again. And I hope you guys have a good night.